In the assertiveness class that I teach, we talk about what are the attitudes to have, the beliefs to hold on to, the statements that you make, the actions that you take to get the results from life that you're looking for, to be assertive, while continuing all the time to be respectful of other people and their rights. I started out the class by telling a story of a situation I encountered that was most challenging for me to stay assertive, be respectful of other people, do everything in my power to create the results that I wanted, while I had on one hand people who were encouraging me, Craig, give it up, it's not worth it, let other people walk all over you and run all over you, just it's not worth it. On the other hand, I had people who were encouraging me to be aggressive, to push people harder, to overstep my bounds, to disrespect them and their rights. And so how do I continue to walk down the middle of the pathway, do everything in my power to create the results that I want while continuing to be respectful of others and their rights? As I tell the story, I ask people to listen for what they believe were the keys to assertiveness. They always come up with these two: patience and persistence. It's at that point that I say to them, I am absolutely convinced, folks, that there are people who are giving up on themselves too quickly and giving up on others too quickly. And they say, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, let's take this situation. Let's say you are responsible for getting a young adult, a teenager, an adolescent to do something. Whether it's clean their room, study, stop some type of destructive behavior, set the table, it doesn't make any difference. In your mind, I want you to envision what's it going to take? What's necessary to get them to do it? And then I go on to say, probably most of you just came up with, all you had to do is say it one time. Please do this, clean the table, and magically it's going to get done. And that's when the class tells me, Craig, you don't understand that age bracket, that's not the way it works. You need to say it repeatedly. You need to be on them. You need to continue to, and I'm going, wait a second, that sounds like you need to be patient and persistent. And they say, well, sure. And I say, well, that certainly can't be the same thing that happens to people as we become adults, could it? Isn't there some magical age where all of a sudden, after having to be told 10, 15 times to do something, all of a sudden we reach a certain age, and then only once is needed for us to change our behavior? And they go, I said, so I ask them, what's that magical age? And I've never gotten an answer for that because, folks, I don't believe it works that way. We don't hit some demarcation line and all of a sudden we become adult where now we're smarter and more experienced and we're more worldly, and all of a sudden we don't need to be told repeatedly. We don't need to have repeated attempts. All of a sudden, one time, magically, everything we want is going to happen. Yet I find people who believe that and get frustrated when that doesn't happen. Because I have managers who come to me in my leadership course and say, Craig, I've got employees who have been doing the job for 15 years. And I've told them 3 times that they need to do, and that should have been enough to get, but it wasn't. Or I have people say, as they talk about their friends, I've got a friend who's engaged in some destructive behavior. And I've researched this, and I've given them all the research on how it's harmful to them. And I've turned them on to some videos that they can watch. And I've had multiple conversations with them, explaining to them how, and that, Craig, should have been enough they ought to know by now. Or I have people who are attempting to start a business, and they say, Craig, I've done this 3 times, and I've tried 3 different businesses in 3 different ways, and that ought to be enough. I should have. And folks, when you hear yourself saying those words, that should be enough, that ought to be enough, I shouldn't have to, those words are going to lead to one emotion. And that emotion is frustration. And the frustration is coming from, you envisioned how many attempts did you need to make? How much effort did you need to put into this? And you know what? Whatever you envisioned at the beginning wasn't enough. It should have been enough but it wasn't enough. I ought not to have to, but you know I'm going to have to. Reality is telling you whatever you came up with as your initial plan wasn't enough. Stop dealing in the what should be, what ought to be. Deal in what is. And what is that you haven't done enough yet, or you haven't tried the right approach yet. So when you get frustrated about something that you're not getting results on, I want you to ask yourself the question, is this something that is worth me putting more time and energy into, or is it not? And if you come up with the answer, it's not, you should be able to let go of it, and the frustration should go away. If the frustration doesn't go away, that's an indication to you that maybe this is more important to you than you initially thought. And maybe you underestimated how important it is to you. And now you've got a decision to make. If this is important to me and I'm going to try it again, how am I going to go about trying it again differently than maybe the way I did it now to get the results this next time that I've been searching for? Do I try a different approach, a different strategy? Do I get more information? Do I ask for somebody's help? There's a lot of different ways you can go about that, but the frustration is an indication to you that this is pretty darn important to you. One of the mistakes I believe we make is we put some type of limit on the number of attempts or the amount of time. And I hear that all the time in people's comments. Craig, I've tried 3 times. Well, maybe for you it's going to take 6. Craig, I put in 16 hours worth of work on this. That ought to have been, well, maybe you need 25 hours. Why do we limit ourselves that way? To me, that's a self-defeating behavior. We're sabotaging ourselves by putting an end limit on it. The question you ought to be asking yourself, as far as I'm concerned, is how important is this to me? And is it worthy of me trying again? Or trying 5 more times, or basically saying to yourself, this is so darn important, I will not stop until I get these results. You know, I'm reminded of a video that I watched where there's an interview with Greg Allman, the lead singer to the Allman Brothers. And Greg revealed in the story that, and of course everybody knowing his story knows he had lots of problems with addictions. He revealed that on his 14th rehab, he was able to cold turkey eliminate from his life heroin, cocaine, nicotine, and alcohol. And he did it cold turkey. But on his 14th attempt, folks. My question then becomes, how many people would have stopped way short of that? I also remember I had a friend who was good friends with Stephen King, the writer, and a writer who a lot of his books have now been turned into movies. And Stephen King, going through college, submitted transcript after transcript after transcript of potential books to publishers, only to have them rejected. And my friend said he used to post his rejections on his dorm wall as motivation. And you could probably go back and ask him, so how many rejections did you get? And how long was it before somebody finally got clued into the fact that, you know, you're pretty darn good? I'm also reminded that we go back to the theory of relativity, Albert Einstein, who to me, pretty smart dude. And I would attribute a lot of his success just to his raw intelligence. He maybe had a little bit different thought on that, because a direct quote from Albert Einstein was, "It's not that I'm so smart. It's just that I stay with problems longer." Patience and persistence. I am absolutely convinced, folks, there are those of you out there who are capable, have the skills, have the determination to go further, to do more, to accomplish some of the results that you've been searching for. I've got confidence that you can do it. Now it's a matter of you having confidence. So if you are frustrated about some of the results that you're getting, that might be an indication that revisiting that issue of should I try 1 more time or 2 more times or a different approach or as many times as it's going to take to get my results, is it that darn important to me? Only you know the answer to that. Folks, that's my perspective. What's yours? Swing by our website, leave us a comment or a question. Check out other videos like this one. And if you like this one, please pass it on to others. It's been a pleasure being with you. Till next time, see you.